Okay.
Aloha and welcome, Mike. I am so excited to have you here. And what I'd like you to do is just start with telling us what company you represent and what is the passion behind the company that you serve.
Thank you, first of all, for having me here. The company is NRG. I've had the company for 25 years, and we're a networking organization. We used to do live meetings, and now we do everything on Zoom. I run 36 of these a week. The passion is helping companies grow their business. They get 3 referrals on the spot, and then 30 once they join. Nobody's doing that. I'm all about law of attraction.
Law of attraction. Now, what is it about the law of attraction that plays into NRG, Mike?
So really, that's how I built the company, serving people, helping them manifest their goals, and an attitude of gratitude. So we're all about that and helping companies grow their business.
Amazing. If you could look back on the years that you've been involved with your NRG company, what one thing are you proud of?
In 2008, we won an SBA award through the state of Maryland Small Business Administration. So I think that would probably be one of the biggest things. They had me up on stage in front of about 1,400 people.
1,400 people. You like talking on stage, Mike?
I love talking on stage. I'm an extrovert.
Oh my goodness, I can tell. I could tell that the moment I saw you outside. And I know that you have so many amazing stories to tell. And we've got a short time here together, but what I'd like to do is just put a seed out there. You okay with that?
Sure.
I'd like to put the seed on about, I heard that NRG is an organization that we need to learn a little bit more about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if what I'd like to do is, I'd like to do in the future a longer podcast, because I believe the message that you stand for and what you're committed to needs to be heard. That's the story and the impact that I'd like to get out of you. What I'd like to do is, if you could give 3 tips to businesses out there, what would it be?
You know what? Networking should be part of your business plan. So if you're not part of a networking organization, join a networking organization, but make sure you attend the meetings so people know, like, and trust you. So that would be the first one. If you're going to be on Zoom, always be on your camera. Sometimes I run meetings and people are not on the camera, so you feel like you're talking to a box from Hollywood Squares or the Brady Bunch. The third tip, follow up. This is where the gold is in the follow up. If you don't follow up with people, you're going to have a lot of lost opportunities.
Oh my goodness, you have just named at least 3 of the things that I'm always about when I'm on Zoom. Yeah, like, it's amazing, because you're right. The impact of having participation on the Zooms in our meetings, priceless. Yes,
Absolutely. Totally agree.
absolutely. So, Mike, can you think of one defining moment on your journey that was game-changing for you? And what was that be?
2020, when COVID hit, we were running around driving to meetings in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. When COVID hit, we pivoted. We went to Zoom. Now we're nationwide and we're international. So because of COVID, the technology of Zoom was able to really propel NRG to unprecedented heights.
Wow, that's amazing. That pivot, not everybody made the pivot, Mike. Not
You're right. A
everybody.
lot of them went out of business, and that's sad.
Absolutely.
You've got it.
Absolutely.
I remember I made the decision in a millisecond. Someone called me and said, "We can't meet live." And I said, "What are we going to do?" They said, "Let's go to Zoom." I said, I don't want to go to Zoom. They said, well, do you want to go back to selling copiers? I said, no, let's go to Zoom. Let's do it immediately.
You know, that shift for many people, Zoom became amazing. And yes, businesses changed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, thinking about that change and what you did, I mean, you said you did it in a millisecond, yes?
Absolutely.
What was that one thing that you can remember that really said, yep, we have to go. We have to go to Zoom. What was that?
If we didn't go to Zoom, the company was done. We were gone. So Tony Robbins taught me people are motivated by pleasure or pain. The pain of closing the company down
Yes.
after 20 years was so intense. When someone presented Zoom to me, it was obvious if we were going to keep the company going, I needed to pivot. I needed to open my mind and make the change and go to Zoom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, as you made that transition, what were some of the lessons that you learned?
You know what? I think what COVID exposed, networking did not have to be live. You didn't have to drive somewhere. You still could see the people. And in fact, I think it's better with Zoom because you can see everybody. If you're in a circle at a round table, like we used to do, you can't really have eye contact with everybody. So Zoom has made you ultra present to everybody that's at the meeting.
I got it. You know, with that in mind, you know, what's next for you in your business, Mike? What's next?
Next is really the new NRG website, which is coming out in February, the NRG University, which is a vault of information. It's starting with me, but it'll eventually be other speakers and coaches talking about different topics from motivation to follow-up, closing the sale, how to create massive momentum in your business, social media, etc.
Amazing. Amazing. You know, as you are moving, sounds like you really are taking on technology and automation. What is the one thing that you are looking at in your organization that you've changed that is really working for you? What's working for you?
I think what's changed is that we're developing leaders, people like Lori Landine, who's the director of networking, and we're having more people understand the culture of law of attraction and how it relates to networking. We're all there to help each other. If it doesn't revolve around that, I'm really not interested in that. So empowering others, delegating, because I can't do it all myself. So that's really the next step for NRG.
Delegating and knowing that you needed a team around you. That is
Exactly.
priceless, Mike. And when you take a look at the team that you have, I'm assuming you've handpicked them. What were you looking for in their leadership?
People that have energy, that they're not going to be boring. I don't think I'm boring. No one's ever fallen asleep with me on a Zoom. So people that have energy, people that have a good network so they can refer people, because we actually give names and numbers at the meeting, and then I do the three-way text intro. People that are sincere, people that really want to help other people to grow. So those are the characteristics that I look for.
I love it. I love it, Mike. You know, you mentioned that you follow or have been trained by Tony Robbins. What is the biggest lesson you learned from him, and how are you incorporating it into your business?
Everyone's got so much potential in them, but it's usually untapped. And if they would just dig in deep, figure out their why. Why are they doing what they're doing? Because if you have a dream, then you know where you're going. If you don't have a dream, you're kind of wandering around in the desert, and that's, I'm going to say, cesspool of mediocrity. But with knowing why you're doing something and write it down. I have an attitude, attitude of gratitude journal. I write 3 things down in the morning that I'm grateful for and 3 things at night, but you have to have a why. If you don't have a why, then it's not going to work out. When you work for somebody, you're working for their why. When you work for yourself, you're working for your why. So I would say identify the why and then write down what's going to manifest when you accomplish those goals.
You know what's amazing, Mike, is that you let us know when you first got on our onto the podcast that your guidance has been the law of attraction. And you know what's amazing is I find that the people who are on that track of the law of attraction, when that why isn't there, it's a difficult journey, isn't it?
It's very difficult. And there's people that come to the meetings and they're just not a good fit for NRG, because I want to bring people into the NRG family. They should be giving people and where they can help. And if you find people that are with them, what's in it for me, and that's their main operation, then there's times I'll just let them go and I won't bring them into the family.
I got one more question for you. You know, how often, or, you know, you said letting them go. I have always believed that sometimes, you know, I've always wanted to help people, and I think I can help everybody. I'm learning that I can't do it all the time. How have you prepared yourself to actually let go? Because you have that heart. It sounds like you have a heart of gold and you do want to help. And when you do have to let them go, what advice do you give them when you say goodbye?
No, I appreciate your compliments very much and appreciate the podcast today. It's been awesome. So what I usually do if I'm going to give advice is ask their permission. I learned that from a law of attraction coach. Hey, if I were to give you an idea and it's out of love and a way to help you, are you open to that? And usually they are. And then I give them that input and they walk away as a better person. Sometimes they come back a year later, 2 years later, 10 years later. But I think if you ask permission before you give advice, that's really the best way to go.
I do love that, Mike. You know, asking permission. I think we've forgotten how to do that sometimes. Yes.
I'm laughing because a lot of times people come to me and they go, I got this idea, I got that idea. Have you ever thought about that? And I'm always open-minded, but sometimes they're bringing me an idea that I've heard 1,000 times. So if they would ask the permission, it'd be a lot easier, but I never judge anyone. I encourage people to understand law of attraction and what can you do for your fellow man or woman? Because in a society, I don't watch the news. I have a quote, turn off the TV, turn on your dreams. And I encourage people to look out for others.
Oh my goodness. Turn off the TV and turn on your dreams,
That's
Mike.
a Mike Weiner quote from
God.
2023. My
Wow.
new quote, 2025 is the year of manifestation.
Ooh.
I don't know what quote I came out with last year. I think I took a break.
Oh my goodness. The year of manifestation. Well, I tell you, the law of attraction, knowing your why, and this year, the year of manifestation, Mike, it's going to be an amazing year for you, especially because the words that you've used are so powerful. And I really believe that the words that you use being so powerful that you do attract the persons or the people that really need you. I always say, you know, it's like a lighthouse. And it really does sound, Mike, that you are a lighthouse for many entrepreneurs and business owners out there. And I am so glad that I got to speak to you for a brief moment in time. And I tell you, I've got some amazing nuggets that I have here. And don't be surprised. I love nuggets from other people. So don't be surprised that you might see me using some of that. Is that okay with you?
It sounds great. You
Awesome.
reminded me of last thought. Be that beacon of light, because you never know what someone's going through. Always put your best foot forward, even when you don't feel like it. Smile, and smile takes less muscles than a frown. So smile, give them your best, and together, I learned something from my youngest son. We got this. We got
Oh
this.
my goodness.
We got this.
We got this, Mike. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
joining us. And
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to a longer and more deeper conversation with you in the future. You have an amazing day, because today
You too.
we got to hear your voice, your story, and your impact.
Thank
Have an
you so
amazing
much.
day.
Thank you.